guys, welcome back to the Ride Waxing channel. So we have got a very nice K2 board in. Now this is a Life and Light board, I think K2 Snowboard. It's kind of an earlier rendition. It's got that really convex top coat. Top coat's actually in very good condition, but we'll give it a polish up as we always do. However, as this 158 board is obviously been ridden really well, it's got some beautiful core shots. So I'm going to pop you in my hand. We'll have a detailed look at this K2, and we're going to peel this up and pull this back and make sure this thing is ready to hit the slopes. And of course, we'll get rid of all the rust. So let's have a quick look. So here we are. We've got lovely base material. And basically, as we get down through the board, this has hit some gnarly rocks, I would have said. We have got gouges and nicks all over the place. Very deep, very close. We've got a really deep one here. A really deep one just there. Coming down, core shot number 1. You can just see it breaking through that lower base of white, which is a real shame. I'll put it back on zoom out so we'd have reduced the flickering. And basically gouges and nicks and knocks. Core shot 2, core shot 3, and core shot 4. So we're going to be cutting around with a very sharp Stanley knife. Now, I'm going to do a video, because I'll pop it on the screen just here. I did a how to repair a core shot. I watched it back the other day, and I didn't think it was that good, albeit it has 25,000 views, but I thought I'd explain a little bit more on what we do. Now, there's a chap that I follow on Instagram. He's a legend at doing core shots, but he's got all the factory tools, and I really want to get one of his guns that he got, which is basically full of base metal and metal base, which you put down first, and then we put P-Tex in. Tell you what, let me get all the stuff out and I'll explain to you what I'm going to use. So what do we need? Base scrapers, Stanley knife blade, lighter, P-Tex, metal base or metal grip, as people call this, a couple of spatulas, a little metal prong, something quite fine to get into all the nooks and crannies, sandpaper, and most importantly, a soldering iron. You do not need solder, you just need the soldering iron to basically melt the metal base. Now, metal base is different to P-Tex, so what we'll do is we'll cut around the areas, getting them nice and square as possible, so we get a lovely 90-degree shape from the base material to the actual core itself. And then we're going to melt the metal base in with the soldering iron, creating a nice layer on the base, sealing it up basically. And then we put the P-Tex on top, and then we can base scrape the P-Tex, because metal base is quite rubbery. As you can see, it becomes quite stringy, and it actually does grip. And because obviously it grips to the base, it's something you can't base scrape down with a scraper very well, because it's quite rubbery. So that's why you put the P-Tex on top. We need the sandpaper just to cure and rough up all the areas, so we get something for the metal base to stick to, and then something for the P-Tex to stick to, because the metal base can come out quite shiny. It really is as simple as that. And obviously we're going to get rid of all these loose areas, and we're going to clean up and base scrape the whole board, getting these rails up. But we're going to work on the metal base and get all the core shots done first, and then we're going to get on to base scraping the board and working on the rails. So that's pretty much it. I'll come back and show you different stages, but pretty much it's going to be time lapse. Again, just recap, we're going to cut around the areas. We're then going to use metal grip or metal base, melt that in with a soldering iron, and use a tool to basically fill up all the areas. But of course, before we lay the metal base, we're going to be using the sandpaper to key the areas up. Once that's cured, we're then using the P-Tex with a lighter, making sure we get a blue flame on the metal scrapers, and then dripping that in on top. Once that cures, we'll use a nice sharp scraper to scrape the excess off. And that way then you'll get a nice flat filled area, and the board will be nice and sealed. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll play it out and let's see how it comes out. Here we go. So there we go, we've squared all these off now, so we've got nice sharp edges, we've exposed and got out all the areas that we needed to, cleaning off all the area. We've basically scratched up all the areas for the metal base to stick to, metal grip. And yeah, we're now going to lay a very thin layer of that in, making sure we get it nice and hot with the soldering iron into all the nooks and crannies, and then we can put the black P-Tex on. I've tried to square it off as much as possible to try and match the squaring on the board, And then what we'll do is over these other areas here, this hasn't quite gone through on this one here. We're going to run some clear P-Tex and do a little bit of black. We've got some squaring off to do. And yeah, then we'll give the board a very good base scrape, deep clean, and then we'll get onto these edges. So you'll see quite a bit of a transformation, hopefully, but we've, like I say, this was all lifting, so you've got to take off all the dead first. You've got to make it worse before you make it better. I was toying with the idea of bringing this up a little bit higher. I still may do so in a second. I don't know. We'll have a quick another look. And again, that's quite thin there, but I don't really want to be taking too much off. Really, I should be replacing this whole section with some new base, but I don't have that tool, so we're going to do it the old school way. Let's crack on and let's get this metal base in. That's the metal grip or metal base in. What I do is I melt it in with a soldering iron, and just before it's going off, I use my finger. It does burn your finger a little bit, but you can really push it in and mold it into all the nooks and crannies, and you get a lovely, this is still a gap here. This is where the P-Tex will now sit on top. But your fingerprint, and then we'll put a bit of sandprint paper on there. We'll add a bit of texture to the top for the P-Tex to stick to. But you can push it in quite nicely, as you can see, and it fills all those areas up. And you can really, like I say, mold it in and push it down. You don't want it to be flush because it's rubberized. You tend to find it will actually then start to peel out. So we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to lay some P-Tex on top, and then we're going to go and basically full base scrape, and then we're going to get onto the rails, and we're going to get some, clean the base obviously with some anti-wax and anti-dirt. Basically like what do we call it, a citrus cleaner, and that way then it will get all the dirt out of it, and then we can lay the fresh P-Tex down on top. So we'll be doing that as well. So we're just gonna let that cool off a little bit. But yeah, little tip is when that metal base, it is hot, but don't do it too early because it will burn your finger, as it did me a couple of times. And then you can just push it in and square it all off. So hopefully those kind of shapes will kind of be in keeping of the board. That's what I've tried to do. You can't really get away with it around the K there, unfortunately, but like I say, it's neat and tidy. It's trying to keep it neat and tidy. So let's let that cool off. Like I say, for you guys it'll be a second. For me it'll be 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we'll come back to it. But what I might just quickly do is just start cleaning up these rails and just getting some of this furriness off the base of this board. See you in a sec. Basically done is base scraped and basically clean. I'm going to do the board in two halves. So I've done the rail this side. I've got to do the side rail, but I'm really working on this base because it is like a ploughed field. So I've cleaned, I've scraped, I've cleaned, I've scraped, I've cleaned, I've scraped, and basically now I'm left with. I'll tell you what, pop in my hand, I'll show you. So what we've done, we've worked on the rails. We're just going to do a bit more detailing. This is where the rails actually dipped in quite considerably. So we'll get a bit of a diamond stone on here, and we'll get some gummy stone just to try and clean these areas up. But the rail itself is no longer rusty, which is what we've wanted. We filled up these areas. We've got to go back over again with a bit more P-Tex as we do, because you tend to find there's little air pockets. But as you can see, they're holding their shape. We've base scraped them, and we're just going to keep on fettling these in now. So we've got the big gouges, which I'm going to try and clean out, and just basically, hence why I've done a lot of cleaning. Got to get all the burrs out, which I'm going to do with a Stanley knife blade, just to basically open those valleys up. And then we're going to get some clear P-Tex into these. And then basically go back over the actual areas where the core shots are. But the nice thing is this is actually now stuck. It's basically now just fettling. Big gouge in here, big gouge, like I say, not deep, sweeps right into here. I'm going to lay pink into here. I am going to try and square this off as much as possible, and they're going to get clear into here. But it's very difficult without cutting out all this area just here, what with the colour. So yeah, we've got a bit of tidying up to do, but we're going to do, like I say, do the boards in 2 halves. So recap, what we do is cut it out, make a nice square area. We then put the metal base or metal grip in, but making sure it's basically just sealing the actual core structure of the board. Then we push it in with our fingers once it's basically going off. Make sure it's in all those nooks and crannies, and then we lay the P-Tex on top. Let that settle, put a little bit more on, and then base scrape it. And then we get that lovely flat area. This is lovely and flat now. So what we're going to do now with the same is we're going to put all these clear areas in. Get all this now so it's nice and full and basically flat, because you can see it is rather gouged, as you can see in this one. This one is extremely deep. And then we'll base scrape, and we'll get all this residue that's in this structure just to the right hand side of this. All this will come out, and then we'll be able to lay down some fresh wax. But that rail is already looking so much better compared to what it was. And yeah, we're pulling this bad boy back, which is what it's all about. But we've got some pockets there where the P-Tex drips in and creates a little bit of a, what they call a bomb hole. So we're just going to fill those areas up now, which we're going to do. Then we'll get back on and base scrape that out and make sure they're completely flat and smooth before then working on this side. This side's not so bad. We've got some areas on the rail. I have started to clean this rail up, as you can see, but I haven't actually dialed it in properly yet. Hence why I use a clamps to hold it. But we'll work on that half afterwards, for the simple reason this is where a lot of the damage is down this side. So time lapse, tunes, let's crack on. Right guys, so this K2 board has been sat in the workshop. We have got it super smooth on the bottom. We have done some immense amount of base scraping, and yeah, those core shots, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 are all done. Now, there was some heavy gouging down through here and here, and we've got the wax on top, and we're going to take that off. We've edged it, but you can see how smooth the board is now. There is nothing sticking up. We had all those kind of base material sticking up like little skyscrapers. They've all been base scraped, but we've cleaned and detailed the board. The rails were so rusty. We've dull and tipped all those in, and they're lovely and sharp, which is really, really good. This is actually gonna, I would say, the gentleman was on about using this board for one more season than getting himself a new one. Actually, I think if we get on and service this again and again and again, this will last for quite a few more years, which should be good. That's if the gentleman wants to carry on riding it, but it's always nice to have a backup. We've got the Nidecker over there, which is his partner's or wife's snowboard. which we're going to get on and do in a bit. But yeah, this has taken some work, quite a lot of work to get this sorted. And hopefully, like I say, I did this video on how to repair a core shot. Hopefully it's been quite informative if you are looking to do this. And we'll have a look at the before and after. And I'm going to do a water test on this board at the end to see how repellent it is and how much wax we've got absorbed into this base. So, no further ado, let's stick some tunes on and let's get this thing absolutely popping. So here we are, one freshly shined up board, looking lovely. Those core shots are lovely and flat. Those massive gouges we had throughout the board, all super smooth, and they're all repaired. We had a really deep gouge all the way down through here. Picked up some of the black P-Tex just in that little groove there, but I think you'll agree, that's come up absolutely lovely. Like I say, quite a few battle scars, but that said, it's lovely and smooth. We've got no holes, we've got no gouges, we've got no high spots. It's all lovely and smooth. We've got the colour back, which is fantastic. Really, really pleased with that. Really pleased. Like I say, these areas are just dead smooth now, which is what we want. And we've cut out all the bad bits and we filled up all the, obviously, areas which is down to the core. Like I say, it's always difficult with a multicoloured base on the board. When it's a black board, it's easier and you can lose these areas quite easily. But it's trying to get that in. But like I say, you can never guarantee to get the gouge on the line. But I am really pleased with that. Great colour, great shine. Now, let's pop you in the stand and let's do the water test. Right, okay, let's go. A little bit of water. Let's see how repellent this board is. So when it's ready to hit the slopes, let's put a bit more on there so you can see it. It's already wanting to run off, which is a really good sign. No slugs left around whatsoever. And there we go. Look at that. Lovely, freshly waxed, fully repellent. Awesomeness. And then we just bring it all the way back and we just go whoop. And the board is bone dry. And that's what we do. We want to make sure this board is ready to fly. And yeah, well, what a core shot. What a ploughed field. But we've got all that filled in and it's lovely and flat. And it's sealed, that's the main thing. This board is going to be good for quite a few years, I reckon. Keep putting more wax on it. And then I can keep adding into the P-Tex, because no doubt when the board gets ridden, it'll be scraped and no doubt get a few more battle scars. But the main thing across the whole base of this board, it is flat, it is fast, it's going to have a great hold. We've done and tipped the ends. We've done an 89 degrees on the side rails. And yeah, this board is ready for a shreddy. So guys, follow me on Instagram, TikTok and Facebook. Thank you very much indeed for watching. And yeah, that's how I repair a core shot with kind of like rudimental kind of equipment that you can buy on eBay, online. If I can do it, you guys can do it. It's just having a little bit of will and a little bit of love and just basically give it a go. Like I say, I laid out all the bits that you need to do it. Give it a go. I haven't got any expensive machine tools that you'd have in the Alps. I haven't got proper massive P-Tex benches or nothing like that. It's all done by hand. And it just takes a long time, but it means you can rescue your stuff and it can live and ride another day, just like this board. So we're going to get on to that Nidecker, guys, but thank you very much indeed for watching. This is me signing out from the Rhino Waxing channel, and we will see you soon.